The first time I fell in love, I was 8 years old. You might think that's a little young, but that's the way I felt. I can even now remember the first word he ever said to me. It was Nearly, in that accent too. He was kind of a dork, don't get me wrong, he wasn't an outcast. But he wasn't Mr. Popular either. I suppose he wasn't really the best looking boy, with his unkempt hair and scotch-tape glasses, but in my mind, he was perfect. As a mediocre student myself, I found it easy to relate to him being picked on by some teachers and well-liked by others, and also having friends much quicker at lessons. As the baby of the family, with two very accomplished siblings, I could understand his desire to prove himself, and I loved his sense of helplessness. I think what infatuated me most, though, was that his character overall was so incredibly good. When I first met him, I didn't really like him very much. My mother had already met him, and she knew I would adore him, so she forced me to play with him. Sometimes I lied, though, and played with my My Little Pony dolls or watched TV instead. I thought he was boring, and I was only 8 years old. All these random strangers coming up to him in cloaks and shaking his hand kind of creeped me out, and if his own relatives hated him, there must be something wrong with him. Hagrid changed everything. Hagrid explained about what really happened to his parents, and why he could accidentally turn his teacher's hair blue or stick a boa constrictor on his cousin. I was immediately jealous, but also extremely hopeful. I was only 8. Of course I couldn't know about magic yet, because everyone I knew was a muggle. Or were they? Anyways, I was still 3 summers away from getting my letter, so I didn't let my jealousy get in the way. As I learned more and more about him, my love grew deeper and deeper. Soon we were inseparable. My mother was always asking me to leave him in the car, but she must not have understood. I even brought him to my brother's Eagle Scout coronation. He needed me. Trolls were wandering around girls' bathrooms, bullies were throwing remembrals in the air, 3-headed dogs were hiding behind doors that were supposed to be locked, poor innocent unicorns were being killed in the forest, teachers were running around with evil people in the back of their heads. How was he supposed to handle all of this without me? When the time came for us to depart, I couldn't believe how hard it was. I didn't even like him when we first met. Saying goodbye at King's Cross Station and knowing he was going to be left with his horrible relatives for an entire summer was terrible for me. He didn't deserve that, especially after all the brave things he had just done, risking his life to save humanity from the most evil wizard that had ever lived. I got through it, though. I knew that I would see him again, and I couldn't wait.